What's up, friends? This is Tattoo Shop Talk, and this is a sort of weekly web show about random chit-chats that's happening in tattoo shops, and we are bringing them to the masses. And today I have a special guest,
Hello.
Janis from faraway country called Latvia, for some known as Letland, and it's a real place. It exists.
Winterland.
Winter Wonderland. He's new to tattooing. He's been around for like 10, 12, 15 years only. And
Only.
I would like to talk with him about, in his experience and in his opinion, what would be
Subjective opinion.
very subjective opinion, what tattoos would be the ones that would last, and what sort of characteristics it should have, and what sort of styles therefore would be kind of in the long run still there and whatnot. So maybe quick introduction. What are you, man?
What am I?
Yeah.
I'm a tattooer, as you said,
Yeah.
for almost 15 years. Somewhere about that. And I'm tattooing at a shop called Rigas Tinte in Riga, in Latvia.
Real country.
Real country. Winter Wonderland. Without the snow. So yeah, it's like, I could say I've been around for a while. So I can see what are the trends and the new stuff and tendencies and yeah, the hype things, you know. People get a lot and then they make
And they
cover-ups.
Then they see what happened.
Yeah.
So what's trendy now in your neighborhood?
Well, particularly in Latvia, but it's like a local thing. Like one of the most popular tattoos now in Riga in Latvia is like all the national symbols, like Latvian traditional symbols.
Ethnic kind of.
Ethnic, yeah, kind of like folk art or something like that. And they're pain in the ass to do. Every time I do one, I say to myself that this is the last one I do, but I keep doing them.
So what's the characteristics for them who don't know what Latvian
It's
folk are?
basically, it's like strictly geometrical designs,
Not swastikas.
not some, but it's
Not
definitely
in a bad term.
Yes, exactly. It looks almost like a pixel art because it consists of like a lot of small squares and all that stuff. So it's really technically hard to do, and people like them, and people usually think that it's easy to do them. And also a lot of people want them in a like dark red color because that's like the color of the Latvian flag, which makes it more difficult to do them because usually they just heal bad, or maybe I just don't know how to do them properly.
So I think they are pixelated. Like the symbols are not originally pixelated; they just lines. But they
They usually
pixelated
people make
because
them
of the-
pixelated because usually they're made into the fabrics.
yeah,
and
like
stuff.
embroidery.
Yeah, so it looks like kind of like
because that makes them pixelated, and there's that big
And they
belt,
look-
big belt that is.
they look the
shit.
best pixelated.
Yeah.
Okay, pixelated is not the right word, but anyway, you get the idea.
So
Yeah, that's the thing that actually I think started. As I saw it, it started like around I think like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. That's when it kind of erupted.
kicked off.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like my subjective view, but that was like there was a point when a lot of people kind of started getting really patriotical after like some sketchy political activities in the country between like Latvians and Russian-speaking people, you know. But I don't want to get into that because it's a lot of.
Also, I think because like a lot of people left country, and then those who stayed were like,
Yeah, but
Wow.
it's stupid that those ones who left the country and they come back. I'm here for a week, but I want to make this super patriotical tattoo, you know. So
yeah, so what's their characteristics? So they pixelated, they either black or red squares. Some
some
people,
shaded.
yeah.
if you're a tattooer, you know that it's really difficult to, for example, make the gradation of shading in an object like that has like many square angles and stuff like that. So it's just really difficult. Also, the size of it is pretty difficult because it's usually too small to fill it in with like the bigger needle, and it's too big to do it all with the smaller needle. So it's just like people think it's gonna be fast and small, but it just takes a lot of time.
And how do you think they will age?
Well, of course, I think there is a way that you can do any style of tattooing that is gonna hold good, for many years. But that's like question of technical abilities, I think.
So
You have to do it really good for it to look good after like 10 or 15 years. If you do it shitty, it's gonna look twice as shitty after like 10 years.
It'll look like nothing.
Yeah, so it's as I said, you can do it properly, you can do it simplified, you can do it super detailed, but at the end of the day, it's all about the skill of an artist, of the tattooer. Can he pull it off?
So what would be the things to avoid in them, in your opinion? So like you don't end up with shit looking tattoo in a couple of years, and then you're like, oh, what to do now?
It's a subjective thing. It's a matter of taste, what the client wants and all that, but definitely choosing the right size, choosing the right color, which would be black.
Yeah, I've seen them pixels made like super small, and they already look like
yeah.
Is that a corner or that's a wobbly blob?
And you have to pay attention to the to make the squares like perfectly in the angle and all this stuff. It's one way or another. You have to do it like pixelated and like with the perfect squares, or don't do the squares at all. Do it right or don't do it at all. So you have to take your time and do it. There are some masters and some artists, some tattooers in Riga who are actually, I don't know, maybe I just think so, they're kind of known for doing that stuff really good. Hopefully it's not our shop. But sometimes I say to people, oh, you have to go to that guy, and that guy, he will do it better, because they do a lot of them. But I don't know, you just have to be really patient, and that's it. Take your time.
Like always.
Like always, yeah. Like any tattoo,
Here, I think, is a very popular thing you see in all the shops, like the.
But I must say that it's not like the only popular thing in Latvia, Of course, there's all the other.
Here is the popular thing, all the black and gray stuff, and it varies from very good to questionable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I guess everyone knows what it is, and it's all the sculptures and all the like mythological stuff and all the eyes and all that stuff. And then it's some people who just do them with like a gray color, but it's already fresh and it looks like it's all mudded out. Like there's some good examples with that, but with that and like it's already fresh tattoo that it looks just like a gray patch, and if it looks fresh sketchy, then it's already
of course. I mean, with a lot of black and gray tattoos, of course they look different after they heal because of the contrast and all that, but people sometimes get freaked out when they look in the mirror. It's all dark and it's all red, and then the contrasts change after it heals and all that stuff. It usually looks better, but still, I think a lot of tattooers overlook the black and gray thing, because a lot of tattooers think, it's just like easy, whatever, just like the angels, the clouds, whatever, just black and gray, easy, fast money, but actually, to do it right, it's not that easy, because you have so many like objects which are just mostly black and gray, and you have to put them in the right contrasts, because it's like different tones for each of the objects. So
yeah, and also it has to like it have to have some depth, because
Yeah,
otherwise
of
it
course.
just looks all same gray thing.
Yeah, I mean a bad black and gray sleeves that you cannot actually recognize the object for like 2 or 3 meters, which looks like just like a gray mud.
But I think what those bad examples, they're the ones who mostly focus on a picture for a fresh tattoo. Like, they're just like, knock it out, look what I did, and then you never see those healed works.
Yeah, but still there are some tattooers who make, some of those tattooers who make the black and gray work like really incredible,
Yeah, no, I don't say about the style in general. I say about popular style and bad example.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a popular style, but it's really easy to get a shitty piece, because there's a lot of shitty tattooers everywhere, and if it's like a popular thing and everyone is gonna do it, because like a lot of people ask it.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll do it, but at the end it just turns out like big mud.
So what else is trendy?
Well, of course, all the geometrical tattoos, geometrical animals, the watercolor stuff, all that stuff is really popular. I mean, I think like Riga, it's like a hype city, Even not only for tattooing, for like different things that are like really new, kind of people get super excited and hyped about it, and usually disappears after a little while. So I mean that's the same with the tattoo styles. I think everyone was doing owls, some time ago. Now
That geometrical stuff, all the mandalas going into shapes. I think.
Yeah, but I think mandala is different thing than the geometrical tattoo. It's like
I'm thinking those where it's popular to get like all the shapes and patterns and get sleeves of them, but there's two types of people getting them. There's ones that it's like crazy into that sacred geometry and they're like true to that stuff and they kind of dig those meanings and all that, and then it's all those fuck boys who want to just get the like quick sleeve.
Yeah, but I mean, if you do like the super geometrical sleeve really good, it's really amazing work, But unfortunately, there's not a lot of people asking for like a geometrical sleeve.
It's just, in my opinion, that's the thing. We're talking the fuckboy kind. Is the like, they were just getting tribals like 10 years ago, and then they're like, oh, the shape is cool, and kind of getting that stuff.
On the other arm, they have like black and gray sleeve with angels.
Yeah, they jumped from the like, they wanted tribals when they were kids.
Well, we've had some people come into the shop and like literally asking like, okay, what's
cool?
What's the trendy thing now? What should I do? And usually what we say, you shouldn't get tattooed. That's it, I know that it's like breaking the first rule,
business.
But but anyway, it's, I mean, sometimes people like that don't deserve to get tattooed.
Okay, enough with that crap. What's the good shit?
The good shit.
What's the good shit that's classical, kind of, well, how classical it can be?
The sad thing about Latvia, and I know that it's completely different here in like in Denmark or for example like Scandinavia, Sweden and like those countries, like a lot of their culture and the history is based on sailors. The sailing history in Latvia is not that rich, and like all the basic tattooing actually started from the jail stuff, from the Soviet times.
I mean, there's been sailing,
but I mean
tattooing. Tattooing was always associated with crime and shit.
And the thing is, like in Latvia, people walk in the shop, they look at the flash of the wall, they see like old school designs, and then they ask, do you do normal tattoos as well? Because like that, like traditional tattoos, it's not like a history of Latvia.
There's no tradition for that.
There's no tradition in Latvia for that, because all the tattoos actually started from really, really dark, imagery, like ripped skins and churches and crosses and devils and all that stuff that was basically popular in jails. So finally, in the last years, last couple of years, people start to recognize more of a traditional style in Latvia. And we as a shop, we try to push it way more. I'm saying this all in the context that I will always think like the traditional old school tattoos and like Japanese traditional tattoos are like timeless tattoos, in my opinion,
Why?
Why? Because
Why is that? What makes them that?
there's the same stuff with the music, People still listen to good music after like 50 or 60 years. And that's the same with tattoos, There's like trendy music bands or whatever, trendy music styles. They're really popular. After 5 years, they disappear. It's the same with tattooing, There's like all these styles. I mean, they were super popular. At some point, way, way more popular than like old school Japanese, but they're not gonna,
I think anyway,
live
like Japanese and even like sailor tattoos, they still have like Japanese. There was like kind of crime stuff, and sailors were still kind of badass dudes. So they don't have like that positive background, but there's still a lot of like cultural background. But from the aspect of also from technical aspect of tattooing, because you see
from technical aspect, I mean, like for me, like traditional tattooing, that's like the definition of what tattooing is, what an outline is, what the shading is, what the color is, So I mean, that's like as classic as it gets, and if you do it properly, it's just gonna stay there. But as I said, it's still at the end of the day, it's like the skill of the tattooer to pull it off, You can do it. I really think you can do a portrait that will look good after 20 years. But it's just like there's not so many people who can do it, And okay, of course you can fuck up traditional tattoo. You can make it look good when it's fresh in a photo, but after a year it's shitty, But still, I mean, that's as simple as it gets, You do a perfect line, you do a perfect shading, you do a perfect color, and it's gonna be there for like 20 years. You look at the pictures of all these old sailor tattoos from like 50s or 40s, and they're still there, It's muddy and all this stuff, but you still can recognize the outline, you can recognize the shading and all that stuff, Imagine what like a watercolor tattoo would look after 50 years.
same, like a bruise.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, like just that this is now popped up in my head that there's also that, like I said, they come with that badass background, and there's something when you look at tattoos and you're like, you see a dragon, you're like, oh, dragon, or you see an anchor, you're like, fuck yeah, anchor, or a skull. And then there's some tattoos when you have to look into them and you're like, what's going on? And that's usually them people who want to put like all their life in the palm size tattoo.
Yeah.
And then like you see, this is the motorbike I had when I was kid next to a mountain, and
in this context, I'm talking a little bit more probably about the technical aspects of timeless tattoo.
It also that wow factor, because you're like, okay, what's on? You're like, oh, okay, this is some
I remember when
private stuff.
I remember really clearly when I started tattooing, like I hated traditional tattooing. Like I looked at the flash of like really old school drawings, like this super classical stuff, and I thought like, what the fuck is this,
Like a child's drawing.
Yeah, exactly, and that's like still the opinion like 80% of the people have in Latvia about like classical tattooing. It's like as simple as,
I think it's often everywhere, because there's some people who get their tattoo and then they show to their friends, and somebody is like, this looks like child's drawing.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh.
Yeah, but I actually thought about the old school and traditional tattooing, that actually in most of the cases people who like and who get traditional tattoos are actually people who are already into like the tattooing culture for a while.
Yeah, they're around.
There's I mean, it happens really rarely that the person who has no tattoos at all, he comes in the shop and the first thing, without knowing anything about like tattoo culture, the first thing they want is like super badass classical traditional tattoo.
Here it's a thing. People come in like with references with like swallows and stuff.
Yeah, but I think it's also like a little bit related to the history part. I mean,
That's more like, I think, music idol influence.
maybe, yeah. But I mean, in Latvia, you don't imagine a person who like he knows that he wants like a tiger on his shoulder. The image in his head is usually like a realistic black and gray tiger. You know, he doesn't come in the shop and shows this like weird face traditional tiger. You know.
Can you get the eyes?
Yeah, I want to look weird. but any tattoo can be a timeless tattoo if done properly. That's the baseline of all this.
If you would have to stack up next to the most hyped Latvian symbol pixel art with a watercolor background next to a Japanese dragon with the fucking fire and I don't know what else with the clouds on the background.
Yeah.
How would you describe to the person that like, okay, I can't choose. Tell me which one is better and why, in your opinion?
Oh, it's also really subjective, you know. It's still a matter of taste, but
I just want my sleeve done.
like from the technical aspect, there's an outline, there's this overall shape, there's a shading, there's an object, and it's been around. The style has been around for like hundreds of years, you know. I mean,
But old Latvians made symbols in the wood for many years.
yeah, but well,
They
it
were
dep-
not that good with tattoos though.
yeah, it depends on the style the person wants it, you know. I don't know. It's really hard to imagine because a person who would like to have a Latvian traditional sign and a watercolor stuff, probably the other option wouldn't be a Japanese dragon.
No, it's like I saw this Latvian basketball player have this stuff, but my girlfriend's favorite actor have the sleeve with dragon, so I don't know which one to get.
Yeah, I think at first it's the most sketchy thing to choose something for someone. That's definitely not to do a thing in a...
Come on, man, you're a professional. Money is not a problem. Come on.
The first aspect would be like what I would like to do more.
Yeah.
And that's because not only because of the technical aspect, but also about my taste, you know, what I would enjoy more to do.
And also that shit's been around since forever.
Yes, exactly.
So you're like,
Yeah, that's what I said, you know.
stick to the classics. So basically the tattoos that will stay for a while are those who are already around.
Yeah,
for a while.
I think so. It's
Plus,
I couldn't of course, you know, of like the take in mind the rapid evolution and like the of all the things around, you know, of all the like technologies and all that stuff, you know, how is everything rapidly evolving, you know. It's really hard to imagine what tattooing will be like after 10 years, you know, after 15 years. But still it's really hard in my head to imagine that people still after like 15 years they're gonna come in the shop and ask for watercolor tattoos.
Also, I think that timeline of tattooing.
I'm really sorry. It's not like I'm saying that like every person who got like a watercolor tattoo is a stupid person, you know, and it's a stupid choice because it's not. Because it's a matter of taste, and we're here to just like basically do what the people want, you know. This is completely subjective opinion, you know. I don't like them, and that's like I would definitely at any time of the day I would choose like different style and designs over a watercolor tattoos, also from the technical view, you know. So no offense.
But I think that timeline of tattooing, it's been like obviously it started with something I'm like talking like more like the traditional stuff, but even those guys were doing other shit, because there was some older books where there was like all that biomechanical stuff around, and then it's all that faces, portraits. They evolved, but it's been like there's been those Japanesey and all that stuff. It's been
That's
variations.
those like sub-level styles that has been around, but they're not as popular.
Yeah, they kind of they show up, they become popular, and then they just branch out from the main thing.
Yeah.
And
But still, like biomech tattoos, they still lived through all these years,
yeah, and they are branched out, and people don't ask for them, but
Yeah.
there's some specific people who go to those specific dudes who are awesome
Also-
at that stuff.
Also, actually, one thing that popped in my head is that basically why there are so many tattooers doing like the traditional tattoos, because I think there's a lot of tattooers who really understand that those styles of tattooing are the ones that are holding the tattoo culture together. I mean, like, if you would imagine that like traditional tattooing and Japanese tattooing would disappear at some time, I mean, like, tattooing would lose its soul in a way. So I mean, these artists understand that they have to continue, the tradition of tattooing, like the real deal. They have to keep it on and then they have to pass it to the next ones, because there has to be someone who keeps it going. It's just like the same thing like Dan Hicks said. It's not about creating something new. It's about just like nurturing the thing you love and then passing it over. So I mean, that's why so many tattooers do like the traditional stuff, because they think like it's a necessity for a tattooing future.
Yeah, and it's also keeping it in that people's art
Yeah,
shelf
definitely,
instead
yeah.
of being just a kiosk in a shopping mall.
Yeah, because traditional stuff, it's like
This
tattooers are
kiosk in a
folk
shopping
art,
mall was meant as
Yeah.
as a McDonald's kind of thing, not that it's
Yeah.
bad to have shop there. What's timeless tattoo for you, my friend? What's the badass, so like timeless in technical way and timeless in like the meanings and all that? Let us know. Bye bye.